We are all guilty of procrastination. It is so easy to put things off because it seems like our entire lives are ahead of us and we will always have more time to fulfill our dreams. But imagine you are lying on your deathbed and remember that you did not do something important. You did not have time, and it becomes so sad in your soul from the realization that there will no longer be an opportunity to do it. However, it does not have to be so sad. Today, we will tell you about an amazing person who decided to change the lives of others. After watching this story, you will definitely have something to think about and perhaps change your own plans for the future. If you are not afraid to go on this mysterious journey, then make yourself comfortable as we begin. An ambulance is rushing through the streets of one of the towns in Holland. It is transporting a seriously ill person from one hospital to another. Most likely, this will be the last trip for this elderly man. He has been diagnosed with many diseases, which every hour cause his health to get worse. He can no longer move independently, so he is tightly tied to a wheelchair with special belts so that he does not accidentally fall out of his seat when the ambulance makes a turn. Driving the ambulance is Kajas Bedberg, who is no longer a young man and has only a few days left before retirement. He has not yet decided what he will do when he takes his well-deserved rest. Perhaps he will travel around the world like many pensioners or buy a small country house. Either way, he still has many good years ahead of him and he can do anything. But these two men in the ambulance, the dying patient and the driver, did not yet know that this trip would forever change the lives of not only both of them, but also many other terminally ill people from around the world. When they drove up to the designated hospital, Kajas received a message on the radio that they were not yet ready to accept the elderly patient because all the doctors were busy with an urgent operation, so he was asked to keep him in the ambulance for a couple of hours since everything he needed was there. There was all the equipment in case the patient got worse. This wasn't the first time something like this had happened, so Kajas drove to the parking lot, parked the vehicle in the shade under a tree, and moved to the back in order to be closer to the patient and start a conversation with him as a distraction. The men began to talk, and Kajas learned that this man, who was now lying in front of him, had taken a job in the local port in his youth, and since that day he had never left that place. All his life he worked in the port. He did not travel anywhere. For him, it was more than just a place of work, it was his home, to which he would now never be able to return. The man understood that this was his last trip, and most likely he would never leave this hospital. The only unrealized dream of the man was to take a last look at his native port. After that, he would be ready to die. He wiped away tears from his eyes as he knew this dream would never come true. Kajas looked at the elderly man who spoke of his native place with such warmth in his voice and realized with sadness that he would never see this place again, and a thought flashed through his mind. Why not take this man to the port? Why not show him his native land once again when time still allowed? Without hesitation, Kajas quickly got behind the steering wheel of the ambulance, turned on the siren, and pressed the gas pedal. The patient did not understand where the driver went in such a hurry because, in fact, they were already in the parking lot of the hospital. What was the surprise of the man when Kajas opened the door and carefully rolled the patient out into the street? The familiar smell of seawater and fish immediately hit his nose, and he cried with joy like a child. He could not believe that his dream had come true and he had a chance to say goodbye to his native port. Kajas did not disturb the elderly man and left him alone with his thoughts, and after that he took him back to the hospital. That night the elderly man died, but he passed away with a smile on his face because his sincere desire came true. Kajas retired, and then an idea came to him, and he immediately shared this idea with his wife. How many people there are who, while in hospitals, have innermost desires that they believe will never be fulfilled. His wife fully supported her husband in this endeavor. They created a fund to help such people. With their own money, they bought an ambulance and began fulfilling the last wishes of seriously ill people. Soon, the news about the unusual help to terminally ill people spread not only in their native town, but also in many nearby ones. There was no end to the clients. Kajas and his wife could no longer handle this operation on their own. More and more money was required, but then caring people joined in and they began to donate large sums for the development of the Kajas' fund. This is how the Ambulance Wins organization was founded, and gradually more and more people came on, ready to help seriously and terminally ill people free of charge. 14 years after Kaya's first trip with the man who dreamed of being in his native port, the organization has 270 volunteers and 10 units of specialized vehicles. More than 15,000 people fulfilled their last wishes and left this world happy thanks to Kayez and his organization. The employees themselves say that they are immensely happy that they can work in an organization that helps people. After all, it is so important to hear a person and their desires, and at the moment when they think that everything is already lost, come to their aid in fulfilling their most cherished wish, which they may have put off all their life. If you visit the website of this organization, you can find many unique stories from around the world, wishes that were fulfilled thanks to a group of caring people. Here is a terminally ill woman looking at Rembrandt's self-portrait in Amsterdam for the last time in her life. She can no longer walk, so she was brought to the museum on a special stretcher. And this man, Mario, worked at the zoo for 25 years and dreamed of saying goodbye to his dear friend, the giraffe, whom he spent a lot of time with. Everyone who saw them was crying at that moment because the giraffe, recognizing the man, leaned towards him and licked his face. One can only imagine how much joy this person experienced. Someone dreamed of fishing on the lake. Someone wanted to celebrate Christmas in Disneyland. Someone wanted to drive a Lamborghini, and someone really wanted to stroke a horse. Someone's dream was to watch the sunrise over the ocean, and someone wanted to watch a live football game of their favorite football team. Children most often thought of watching their favorite cartoon in the theater, or visiting an amusement park, or visiting the zoo to see the animals. If it was difficult for a person to be transported because of their health problems, then the employees of this organization worked with hospitals and brought the wish to them. As Kayez himself, the founder of Ambulance Wins, says, they have already managed to do a lot, but they are not going to stop. On the contrary, they are looking for volunteers around the world, people who are ready to help others, fulfilling the last wishes of seriously ill people. So, one chance meeting was the beginning of a great movement for the benefit of other people. If you also thought about how to have time to fulfill all your desires before the end of your life, then here is one technique for you. Write down all your most secret desires on a piece of paper. Divide them into short-term ones, like trying shrimp or making up with your friend, and do them this week. Then the desires that require preparation or more time, such as visiting another country or skydiving, put them into plans for the coming months. Then long-term desires, for example, to get a promotion at work, take some steps daily to achieve that goal. Life is much shorter than it seems, so do not put it off until later. Enjoy every day, live it like it is your last one, and then you will get everything you have planned and even more.